Welcome back to Cord Cutting Today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting and give you my opinion on them, including the end of CNN, TNT, and TBS as we know it. We'll tell you what's happening as Warner Brothers Discovery is getting rid of these networks into a new company. Also, Disney's finally getting 100% control of Hulu. We'll tell you why that happened and how the deal with Comcast went to end that. Also, the CW is getting more sports content. These stories and a whole lot more coming up in a quick minute. If you're new here, though, you can always find a link to every story I talk about in the show notes and in the first pinned comment. You can read them there. If you're new and you like what we do, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that thumbs up, doing one or both. Let YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. All right, let's dive into it. Warner Brothers Discovery is getting rid of CNN, TNT, TBS, and more. Pretty much all their cable networks are going to be split off into a new company called WBD Global Networks as a tentative name. They're probably going to pick a different name, but for tentatively for now, that. Now, with this, CNN, TBS Sports, TBS, Discovery Plus, the other streaming service Warner Brothers owns, the Bleacher Report and other networks are being spun off into their own cable TV network. This follows Lionsgate spinning off Starz into an independent company, getting rid of that. Comcast is spinning off pretty much all of their cable networks, including MSNBC, CNBC, and others into their own companies. In short, these studios have decided cable networks are just not good for the books. When they report their quarterly earnings, they pull them down by having bad revenue compared to their other divisions. So Warner Brothers Discovery following Comcast and Lionsgate to say, hey, well, if we split off the company, we have them in another publicly traded company that we own a majority of, we can pull profits from, but we then can report their earnings separate from our main earnings. Now, exactly when this will happen is unknown, but it'll be sometime probably this year as they slowly spin them off. For these networks, including CNN, for now, nothing changes. But now they are going to lose access to the massive studios of HBO and Warner Brothers Discovery's not only just money, but also talent and resources. Now, Max will continue to have access to much of this content through distribution deals, but it separates them out. I think for the foreseeable future, we won't see a big change. But in the long run, these networks now need to find a way to become profitable and sustainable on their own, or they're not going to be here. And let's be honest, I think this is just a temporary holding spot. I think many of these networks in 5 to 10 years won't be here as they shut down unprofitable networks, as more and more people cancel cable and go to on-demand only services like Max and Disney Plus and others. We'll watch it very closely. It is important to note the movie studios, the television studios, HBO, and the Max streaming service, etc., are remaining with Warner Brothers Discovery. It's all those cable networks they're spinning off. All right, next up, Disney is now full 100% owner of Hulu. Quite a few years ago, Disney and Comcast struck a deal where Disney would take over all the board seats and they would eventually buy out the remainder of Comcast's shares. Originally, when Hulu launched, it was a split between CBS, ABC, and Fox and NBC with it. All those networks put their content on Hulu. First, CBS, which was always a minority partner in this deal, sold out, and then Disney bought Fox and got Fox's share. And with that, it made Disney the supermajority owner of it. Comcast then owned a minority of it. And they struck a deal which allowed Disney to basically say, we'll buy your share of Hulu, but it won't be for several years. But Comcast would agree to turn over its board seats immediately to Disney to give them full control, which was kind of a formality because Disney board members could outvote anything Comcast wanted anyways because they owned the vast majority of the ownership of Hulu. Then came a problem. They had agreed on a price, before 2020, when streaming boom happened and streaming services became much more valuable. And with that, they argued over the final price of the sale. That argument took some time, and a lot of money went into evaluations and second evaluations and deals. But with this, they purchased the remaining shares of Comcast, just Comcast share, for $9 billion, $9.05 billion. Pretty good deal. Now, that's not the entire value of Hulu. It's just the Comcast share with it. With this, Disney owns the full control of Hulu now. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Hulu now that they don't have to give part of the profits and stuff to Comcast. Kind of frees Disney to do whatever they want. Will we even have a Hulu in 5 years? Will it all get merged into Disney Plus? Will it become an add-on? Will it just Hulu be an add-on inside the Disney Plus app? We'll wait and see. But for now, Hulu is fully owned by Disney. Don't expect any immediate changes, but if there are any, we'll make sure to let you know. All right, the CW is continuing its push to become a sports network. They've increasingly grown the amount of sports, and they've now struck a deal with the Savannah Bananas, the very wildly popular baseball team. A friend of mine described them as the Globetrotters for baseball, and it's a pretty good term there. But they have a deal now that they'll broadcast to you this Sunday, July 27th at 3 p.m. and will broadcast many of their games on television. This team has become wildly popular over the last year and really expanded its reach of baseball. Didn't know this, but originally they were actually just a minor league team or won some championships, but then started doing these fun games and kind of realized there was success here and moved the whole team's focus over to these more fun entertainment style games. All right, next up, Pluto TV is adding a new sports channel. Speaking of sports, with that, the all-women sports network, AWSN, is now available on Pluto TV. Now, it had been available on some other services. This brings a wide range of sports, all focusing on women's professional sports out there. If you're a fan of that, you can find it under the sports tab in Pluto TV. Hey, if you have a deal that you're looking for out there for a new streaming player, you may want to consider getting a new Roku Ultra. Our deal of the day today is the Roku Ultra, which is on sale for $79.99. A really good deal. This is the most recent version with the upgraded Pro Remote 2 and other great little under the hood improvements over older Rokus. Now, still $79.99. Find a link to it in the show notes down below. And lastly, in our story, our last story of the day, there's been a lot of layoffs in the world of television. Over the last year and change, over 1,600 television and movie studio employees have been fired. A couple quick highlights here, give you an idea of how rapidly the world of television is collapsing on these studios. Paramount's laid off about 800 people over the last year and change since 2024 started. Warner Brothers Discovery has laid off almost 1,000. And different reports, somewhere between 500 and 1,000 in their television studios. They got many other departments there with this. And they even just did a more recent targeted round of layoffs about a week ago that laid off just a few dozen people, it seems. But in total, over the last few years, they laid off like 1,000 people. Also, you have Disney's Pixar laying off 14% of its workforce, which worked out to be about 175 people, as Disney refocuses Pixar and what it's doing there. And MGM Studios, Amazon now owns MGM Studios, has laid off over 200 employees. Interestingly, though, according to this report, they also laid off like 500 Twitch employees. I know Twitch is more of a live TV service, not really airing movies and television shows, but they've laid off about 500 people over there as Twitch refocuses. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. As cable networks will shut down, you just don't need as many staff. And I think many companies are already starting to cut back. Instead of having a whole team that runs Cartoon Network and a completely separate team running Turner Classic Movies and etc., they're increasingly combining it where one person oversees maybe programming for both. And that allows them to cut back in costs. Maybe you have engineers watching more channels than they used to and more. Part of this is automation. You don't need as many engineers to run a lineup of programming on cable television because increasingly automation runs the stuff. You pre-program everything, it's all locked in, it just runs. You just got somebody there in case something breaks. Do you need one person to watch every channel in case they break, or can one person watch multiple channels at once? Look for these cuts to become more and more popular. Cable networks advertising's down, subscriber revenue's down. At some point something has to give, and that for now has seemed to be on the staffing side. We've also seen cuts in content. I expect to see more of that. I'm actually surprised that we have not seen more cable TV networks shut down. Over the next few years, I think we'll see a growing list of cable TV networks shut down, as there's just not the viewership to justify all these channels anymore. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. We'll be back tomorrow with another Cord Cutting Today on breaking news, reviews, tips, tricks, and more, all here on the Cord Cutters News YouTube channel. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up if you have not and made it this far. We would really appreciate your support. Until next time, take care, be safe. I'll talk to you all again real soon.